All right, so we've got a really cool set of games to unpack today, 5 in total.
5 NBA games, yeah.
And we're going to try to do what we always do, go beyond just like, the box scores and the basic stats and like really get into the narratives, the takeaways. What can we glean from these particular matchups?
Exactly. Yeah, I think we've got a great selection here. Really get a sense of what's happening across the league. So we've got the Chicago Bulls against the Dallas Mavericks, the Boston Celtics playing the San Antonio Spurs. Then we've got Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the Indiana Pacers. We've also got the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. And then to round it out, the Miami Heat taking on the Philadelphia 76ers.
And you know what's so interesting is the variety of outcomes here.
Yeah.
We've got really close games, some blowouts, some just offensive explosions. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to break down.
Let's start with that Bulls-Mavericks game. I mean, talk about a nail-biter.
Oh, yeah.
1-point game, 120 to 119. Dallas squeaks it out.
Wow.
But wow, the story of that game was something else. Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about how the Mavericks had that 11-point lead going into the fourth quarter.
Right. You're thinking, okay, that's it. They're going to cruise to victory.
Yeah, you would think so. But the Bulls really showed some grit. They fought back, chipped away at that lead.
They did. They got it down to just 2 points with like 8 seconds left. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the kind of pressure situation where you really see what a team is made of.
And then, of course, the last second shot from Vucevic for the tie.
Oh, man, so close.
Just rimmed out. I mean,
Yeah.
heartbreaking for the Bulls fans. But you got to give them credit for that fight.
Absolutely. I think this game was a great example of the experience of the Mavericks versus the Bulls, who are still developing their ability to win these close games. The Mavericks are comfortable in those tight situations. They know how to execute down the stretch. The Bulls, on the other hand, they've got the talent, they've got the individual performances, but it's about learning how to translate that into wins when it matters most.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you look at the Bulls. You had Buzelis, the rookie. He had an amazing game, 28 points. Then you had Vucevic and Coby White, both with 25 each. So offensively, they were there.
Yeah, they had the firepower.
But it's those little things down the stretch that make the difference.
It's about execution. It's about staying composed. It's about making the right plays when the game's on the line.
On the Mavericks side, you had Davis with 18 points. And Dinwiddie had a double-double, 14 points and 11 assists. So, they had some key contributions there as well.
Yeah, Dinwiddie's double-double was huge, especially in a game like this where every possession matters.
So the Mavericks, they hang on. But the Bulls show they're not going to just roll over. I think both teams can take something away from this one.
Definitely. A lot of positives for both sides.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Talk about the Celtics and the Spurs. This one was a little less dramatic, I'd say.
Yeah, this was more of a statement win for the Celtics. 121 to 111. They really asserted their dominance.
They seem to be unstoppable right now, just rolling through teams.
It's impressive to watch. Tatum had another big game, 29 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, he's just on another level.
And Drew Holiday, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists.
Really solid all-around performance.
What's really impressive, though, is their depth. 7 players scoring in double figures.
Wow, that's tough to defend.
It is. It means you can't just focus on shutting down 1 or 2 guys. Everyone on that team can contribute.
Now, the Spurs, they were missing some key players, right? Wembanyama and Fox were both out.
Yeah, those are significant losses. Especially Wembanyama. I mean, he's a game changer.
It's hard to gauge where they would have been if those guys were healthy, but you have to give credit to players like Keldon Johnson and Stephon Castle.
Right, the source mentions they both stepped up and had strong performances despite the circumstances.
So even though they were shorthanded, they didn't give up. They kept fighting.
It's a good sign for their future. They're showing that they're not going to back down from a challenge, even against a powerhouse like the Celtics.
Yeah, it's all about building that winning mentality.
Exactly. Now, how about that Thunder-Pacers game? A real offensive showcase.
132 to 111. That's a statement.
Yeah, the Thunder, they just exploded offensively.
And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to be incredible. 33 points in this one.
Yeah, he's been on a tear all season.
But it wasn't just him. It was a team effort. The Thunder's defense was also impressive.
Absolutely. They shut down the Pacers pretty effectively. Forced a lot of turnovers.
What I found interesting is that the Pacers have actually been playing really well lately. So for the Thunder to come in and dominate like that, it says a lot about their potential.
Yeah, this wasn't just a case of beating up on a weak team. The Pacers are a legitimate threat, and the Thunder handled them with ease.
It's that combination of offense and defense that's so impressive. They're not just a one-dimensional team.
Exactly. They're playing at a high level on both ends of the court. And that's what makes them so dangerous.
They're not relying on just outscoring teams. They can win in multiple ways.
They can win shootouts, they can win defensive battles. They're a complete team.
Okay, let's talk about the Lakers and the Grizzlies. This one was a high-scoring affair.
Yeah, this was a back-and-forth battle, 134 to 127 for the Lakers.
Austin Reeves had a huge night for the Lakers. 31 points, 8 assists.
Yeah, he was on fire.
And Luka Doncic also had a big game. 29 points, 9 assists for him.
That Lakers offense is scary when those guys are clicking.
The Lakers built a pretty big lead in the first half. But the Grizzlies, they didn't quit. They fought back in the fourth quarter, made it interesting.
Yeah, the Grizzlies have that never say die attitude. They're always going to compete.
But in the end, the Lakers had too much firepower. That trio of Reeves, Doncic, and LeBron, even without LeBron having a monster game himself, his presence alone makes a difference.
Yeah, LeBron is always a factor, even when he's not putting up huge numbers.
So the Lakers get the win, but the Grizzlies pushed them. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, it shows that even with a big lead in the NBA, you can't relax. Things can change quickly.
Okay, last but not least, we've got the Heat and the 76ers. Another convincing win this time for the Heat, 118 to 95.
The Heat are really rolling right now. This is their fourth straight win.
They're playing some great basketball.
Tyler Herro had a big game, 30 points, 5 3-pointers. He was feeling it.
He's such a dynamic scorer. When he gets hot, he can take over a game.
And the Heat's defense was stifling. They forced 18 turnovers. 76ers just couldn't get anything going offensively.
Yeah, the 76ers were missing Embiid and Paul George. That's a lot of firepower to be without.
It's tough to win without your best players, especially against a team as good as the Heat.
It really highlights how important depth is in the NBA.
Yeah.
You need guys who can step up when others are out.
Absolutely. And the Heat, they've got that. They've got a lot of guys who can contribute.
So the Heat are clicking on all cylinders right now. And the 76ers, well, they're hoping to get healthy soon.
Yeah, they're going to need Embiid and George back if they want to make a run.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We saw a little bit of everything.
We did. We had close games, blowouts, offensive explosions, defensive battles.
What are some of the big takeaways from what stood out to you the most?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is the importance of depth. In today's NBA, you can't just rely on one or two stars. You need a complete team. You need guys who can come off the bench and contribute. You need players who can step up when others are injured.
That's a great point. And I think we saw that in a few of these games.
We did. The Celtics are a great example. They have so many weapons, it makes them incredibly difficult to defend.
And the Heat, too. They're not just relying on Herro. They've got a lot of guys who can score.
Exactly. And that's what makes them so dangerous.
Okay, so for our final thought today, I want to ask you this. Of all the games we talked about, what single-player performance do you think had the biggest impact on their team's outcome, and why?
Wow, that's a tough one. There were so many great performances, but if I had to choose, I think I would go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that Thunder-Pacers game.
Interesting choice. Why him?
Well, he obviously had a huge scoring night, 33 points, but it was more than that. It was his leadership. It was his control of the game. He really dictated the pace. He made everyone around him better. And that's what separates the truly great players from the good ones.
That's a great point. It's not always about the raw numbers. It's about the impact a player has on the game.
Exactly. And I think Gilgeous-Alexander had a huge impact on that game. He was the driving force behind the Thunder's victory.
Great analysis, as always. Thanks for joining me for another deep dive.
My pleasure. Always fun to break down these games with you.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back soon with another set of games to analyze.
Until then, keep enjoying the NBA action.